In this video, I want to show you the final update to my calculator where I add functions. So this is where we left off last time. We had these different code boxes where we would collect the user input with a variety of units, convert the units of length and width, calculate the area, and then we could convert the units of the area if they wanted a different unit. So this is that original code up at the top. So the first thing I wanted to do was define a function for calculating area, because that's what all this code does. And so I added a title here with my text box, and then I said I was going to define the function calculate area. So this one was the easiest one because what I did is I just copied what was in all of these code boxes and pasted them down here. The one thing I had to be careful of was making sure the indentations worked out, so everything needed to be indented once to fall under the definition of the function, and if there was if else statements, they had to be indented again. So that's the only thing I kind of had to fix. Another thing I changed is for each of these, I would print out the answer at the end of each box. For this one, to make it a little cleaner, I just want it to print out the answer at the very end, the area. So let's go ahead and run this. Remember, when you first run this, it's just telling the computer this is the definition of this function. Now, in a separate code box, I'm going to call the function. So what is the length of your rectangle? Let's say 10. And we'll say it's millimeters. Then it asks what is the width of your rectangle without units, so 5. We'll say it's still millimeters. Now it asks what units would you like your answer in. So I'm going to keep it consistent, say millimeters, and it's going to print out that the area of my rectangle is 50 millimeters squared. So perfect, it worked. So this is everything I've built so far, but now I can just call the function to calculate it. So you may have noticed that to get an A-level calculator, you need to be able to have the user calculate any of the variables in your equation. And area is not the only variable. We also have length and width. So I need to create 2 more functions, one in case they want to calculate the length and one for the width. So here's my function to calculate length. So it's very similar to this one, only a few things have changed. Obviously, I'm asking them for the area and the width now instead of the length and the width. And I'm then converting the units of the area and the width. To find the length, I do area divided by width, and then I output the length in whichever units they ask for. The hardest part for me was getting the conversion factors right. I kept messing it up. So I recommend just looking it up instead of trying to do it in your head, especially the area ones, because I wasn't just converting between millimeters and centimeters. It was between millimeters squared and centimeters squared. And so that kind of adds something to it. But remember, you can just always look up conversions. Okay, and then when you test it, you want to use numbers that you would know the answer to make sure it's spitting out the answer correctly. So once again, if you run this, it defines the function, and then you can call the function, and it will go through the whole thing again and spit out the answer for the length. So the easiest one to do, besides the area, since it was already in there, was then the width, because once I did the length, it was exactly the same. I just had to change anywhere it said length to width and vice versa. So once I went through and ran that, I defined the function by running it, and then I could call the function down here. So the last kind of little thing that you can add now that you have your 3 separate functions is a final kind of code box where you ask the user which function they want to run. And so that's this right here. I print what variable do you want to calculate. Then I type A for area, L for length, or W for width. So they pick which variable they want to calculate. And then I have my if else statement here. If they say A for area, I run the area function. If they say L for length, I run the length function. And otherwise, I'm assuming they type W, so I run the width function. So now you can just start this one box. I can tell it I want to calculate for length. Now it's going to run the length function. So it asks me, what is the area? Let's say it's 100. And we'll do inches this time. Then it's asking what the width is, so we'll say 5 inches. And I want my answer for my length in inches. Okay, so the length of my rectangle is 20 inches, which makes sense because 100 divided by 5 is 20. Perfect. So the final thing I'd probably do at this point is maybe just move this up to the top, since it's the only thing that really needs to run. and then get rid of the excess code that's from my previous version.